for review of the national minimum wage figures to avert the looming nationwide strike action, standing in the name of retired former comrade Honorable Peter Akpatason. Honorable Akpatason is now invited to move the motion.
I am Comrade Peter Akpatason, MNI, still a comrade. I represent Akoko Edo people. I am from the state of one man, one vote. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion on the need to hearken to the call for the review of national minimum wage or wage figures to avert the looming nationwide strike action. The House, aware that the Minimum Wage Act 2011 set the lowest payable salary to a worker in Nigeria at 80,000 naira only. Cognizant of the tripartite agreement between the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, and the federal government to set up a joint review team to study and recommend an appropriate rate to the government. Concerned that despite the labor unions having submitted names of their nominees and making several requests for commencement of the review process, the government has yet to respond positively to the request. Also aware that the payments of outstanding debts to contractors and
honorable members, please silence.
Salaries and pensions to workers contributed to the reflation of the economy and in turn partly contributed to the eventual exit of the economy from recession. And as such, an upward adjustment of the rate of the minimum wage will have similar positive effect on the nation's economy. Concerned that a combination of high inflation and weak naira exchange value have eroded the purchasing power of workers and fixed income earners in the country, who happen to be the breadwinners of millions of jobless and aged dependents. Convinced that any nationwide strike action embarked upon by workers at this time is capable of rolling back the recent economic gains, thereby returning the nation's fragile economy into recession that will further exacerbate the suffering of the Nigerian masses. The House therefore resolved to, 1, urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to direct the Minister of Labor and Employment to commence forthwith the process of negotiating an upward review of the current minimum wage rates. And 2, to mandate the Committee on Employment, Labor and Productivity to ensure implementation. Mr. Speaker, I so move. This is a pretty straightforward motion. It talks about failure of government to respect the understanding they had with labor unions, both labor unions at the federal level, as well as Employer Consultative Association. Mr. Speaker, in recent time, you discover that we have had too many strike actions in this country by medical doctors, by non-academic staff all over the country, and so on and so forth. The effect of this strike action have been so monumental on the economy. And at this time that we are just managing to exit from recession, it will be very catastrophic for us to allow a nationwide strike action, particularly the one that will involve the labor umbrella bodies. This will be more serious than the one that an industrial union or two industrial unions embark upon. Now, if you look at the series of industrial actions in recent time, most of them are caused by the same kind of neglect, failure, either to implement agreements or delay the implementation of agreement or outrightly ignore cause for the commencement of the process of review of wages and conditions of employment. Now, this one is similar to all those ones that we've had before. But the concern here is that it is going to be more serious than any other strike action. Both labor unions have called on the government to say, okay, fine. They have submitted their own nominees to the team that was supposed to commence this process, but the government has not done what they ought to do. As a result of that, they have threatened to embark on strike action any moment from now. And I believe that if we allow this, at the end of the day, we will start firefighting. I think that the best thing to do is to be proactive about it. And that is why we are calling on the government to take this action. Mr. Speaker, that is the motion.